Hello and welcome to another episode of Fundy Tidings. I'm your host Jay Remer, and with me today is Jamie Steele.
Hey,
welcome
Jay.
to the show, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Today we're going to talk about the upcoming concert series on Minister's Island, and Periwinkle Productions, of which you are the major moving force, is managed to produce an amazing lineup for the summer.
Well, thanks, yeah.
And so I thought we could talk about, start with the first concert, which is the Emerging Songwriters group, which I am really interested in hearing your thoughts on.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really exciting lineup. The, as you said, this Emerging Songwriters event is the kickoff to the concert series on the island this summer. And by the way, just a little context, the summer concert series on the island has been going now for 10 or 11 summers, and it's really been great to be involved in that and being able to bring some incredible East Coast and local talent to the stage. And that's what we're focusing on in this Emerging Songwriters event on Sunday, June 22nd. So for those of you not familiar with a songwriting circle, what we do is we bring songwriters together and put them in a line. It's not so much a circle, but it gives each songwriter an opportunity to share some of their music and for them to hear music of the other songwriters and the stories behind the songs that they've created. And I'm a true believer in promoting and working with new emerging talent. Everyone has to start somewhere. And we are incredibly lucky here in St. Andrews not only to have a thriving music scene, but to have a thriving community of young emerging songwriters. So this year, we decided to put something together that would showcase that. So looking at the talent pool, there are a number of emerging artists that come to mind, and we've asked them to come together in this format to present a show on Sunday, June 22nd at 3:30 on the island. So we've got the youngest of the group, Clara Blanchard, who is still a student at Sir Jamestown Academy. I think she's heading off to Dal next year, but has been writing music for a number of years. So really quite something for a young person to do, and has been sharing that music over the last couple of years in public. It's really quite wonderful to see. Clara, her parents are not only musical, but music lovers, and have hosted a number of house concerts. So Clara has been, front and center of some of that, and, has developed a real affinity for the songwriting genre. She's, because her parents are friends with a number of songwriters, she, by default, has become friends with people like Rose Cousins, Catherine McClellan, Christina Martin. They're all people who have come and played in St. Andrews and at the Blanchard's house. And Clara has sort of picked up on that and begun to create her own sort of songwriting style and career. And she's played a little bit here in St. Andrews at Winter Warmer, at various open mics and coffee houses, and is now at the point where she's starting to think about recording some of her music. And she's been sort of identified by a number of high-profile East Coast producers as and artists as someone that there's something there.
And does she play the guitar?
Yeah, she's a guitar player and piano too. Yeah, and so she's going to be one of the four taking part in this event. Another is Jacob Rose. Jacob, living in St. Stephen, many might know him as the manager of the St. Andrews Brew Pub, and sort of the host of the monthly open mics that the Brew Pub has. But Jacob has been writing and performing for a number of years, but has really decided to up his game a little bit and has really dedicated his time and effort into creating songs and performing. He's now starting to tour a little bit throughout the region, and like Clara, has been identified by Chris Kirby, who is an East Coast producer and performer. Chris is from Newfoundland, but is the music director of Matt Anderson's band, and also has written music with a number of other East Coast artists, the Trues, for example, and he records and produces albums. So he identified Jacob as a result of a songwriting residency that happened here in St. Andrews during Winter Warmer, held at Salty Towers. Jacob was part of a workshop where he brought a song to the table, and the established artists sort of critiqued it. But Chris saw something in that and said to Jacob, "I want you to come and I want to record some of your music."
Isn't it fun when you discover talent? It's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
That's the most exciting. That's why I'm so interested in this, because it's really they're just hatching.
Oh yeah, and Jacob, incredible voice, and once you get a producer who knows what they're doing to put together a band that in the studio that propels the compositions to another level. It really is quite exciting. So we've got Jacob coming with Clara, and the third member of that songwriter circle is Charlotte Bartlett, another local St. Andrews musician. Again, Charlotte's been playing for a number of years, but over the past couple of years, her confidence level has just gone through the roof, really, and her ability to write songs about what might seem like silly little things. I mean, she's a biologist as well, and I know one of her songs is about lumpfish, which she has worked with, but it's an endearing song, and something that I've noticed a number of people online have remarked how much they love that song. But she's also a great interpreter of others' music. So she plays covers as well as her own music, but she makes those covers her own. She's able to take a song and put a little bit of a different slant on it to create in some ways a totally different
own song.
Her own song. So Charlotte too has been looking at the possibility of recording, and she's begun to play out. I know she recently did a show in Moncton at the Green Room, which is a wonderful new live music venue there, and really coming into her own. So that's exciting. And then the fourth member of this songwriting, emerging songwriters group is Drew Haven's Sean Richard, AJ Richard, who we all know if we spent any time at Drew Haven. He's the bounce down there. I mean,
he's the man.
Yeah, so positive. But he's a songwriter and day-to-day manager, owner of the cafe there, but and the event space. But you might not know that he's spent time in Nashville writing and performing, released a number of songs to the wide world, and has a thing going all of his own in the songwriting world. So we're bringing these four local artists together and really want to get a great audience out to see them and experience them. I mean, Jacob, Charlotte, and Clara all played during Paddlefest this past week. Sean was busy managing his facility, but he's a regular performer at his own open mic event at Drew Haven and other events around town. So people may have seen them, but to see them all together sharing stories about their songs and sharing their songs in the Ministers Island environment will be really, really special. So we're really, pushing that event as a keynote marquee event that I think would be really worth attending.
I think it's so exciting, and the thing about these songwriters is that they really emote a lot of things, what is going on in their heads, and it takes a lot of courage to do that, but that's why people like listening to them, because they can relate so easily to them about things that they may be reticent to express themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's remarkable, really.
Well, the thing about you talk about courage. It really is a courageous thing to bare your soul. Sometimes, these are personal, often very personal songs. The Lumpfish song of Charlotte's may not be. It's personal in a different sort of way, but many songs are about life experience. Which
well, I remember Sean wrote a song about his grandmother a number of years ago, and it was so heartfelt, and that's the kind of music that people really gravitate to, especially today, because it's so difficult to share emotional thoughts because of what might people say.
Right.
But these gals and guys get out there and they just are going to do it.
Yeah.
And people love it. I think it's great. And I hope people come to it. I'm sure they will.
Well, I'm sure they will too.
So after the 4th of July and Canada Day, you've got Nico Paulo and band.
Yeah, so basically the summer concert series, because it's on the island, it really depends on the tides and when we can access the island. We try to pick days that we can run a consistent show. Shows are at a consistent time or on a consistent day and a consistent time frame. All the shows this year are on a Sunday, so that's one thing. Most of the shows this year are in the afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock, except when we get later in the season. So Sunday, July 6th, Nico Paulo, Newfoundland-based singer-songwriter, originally from Portugal. Her parents moved from Portugal to Toronto, I think, so she spent her early years in Toronto and then moved to Newfoundland. And, there's a Portuguese community in Newfoundland because of, historical fishing context. Anyway, Nico is new to Ministers Island. It'll be her first time performing on the island. But she has performed in St. Andrews before. She performed at Winter Warmer 2 years ago. We introduced her to our audience, and then last year she performed at Paddlefest. But she has become a rising star in the Canadian music scene, nominated for a Canadian Folk Music Award, which is a national music award. She's been touring nationally. And she has not headlined, but has been part of an ensemble to perform at Massey Hall in Toronto. So that's even to be asked to be a part of a show at Massey Hall, it's no small time.
Right.
So she's a kind of folk rock performer. Again, her style is. It's a little bit different. Some great vocals. She's a really upbeat person, and I would, all of the performers who are playing this summer are on the Ministers Island website, and on that website there's a link to their music, so you can go and actually listen to some of it. So I would encourage people to do that. But she's again themes about longing for home, the ocean, the reality of love. Those all seem to be her favorite sort of things to write and sing about. And she's just had a young one. She's just had a baby, like within the last month. And she'll be touring this summer with the newborn in tow and playing with her partner. So, no, I'm really looking forward to that show as well.
It's interesting that the themes that they pick, you know, she's picking themes about going home and the ocean and all that kind of thing. They run so parallel to so many other life themes that people subliminally pick up on these things, and they enjoy concerts that they don't even know how much they're going to enjoy them. So I know that when I go to a concert, and I actually do go to concerts, I just don't go to outdoor ones very often, I'm always surprised at what I take away. So I think that's probably true of most people. So it's always good to have surprises in your life, and this is a great place to find good ones.
No, exactly. And I mean, you know, here in St. Andrews we have a long history of presenting music and local, regional talent. And, you know, many times the artists will certainly not be household names and may not even have been heard of before. And we're very fortunate in that our audience here, a local audience, is willing to take a risk every once in a while, to come out and listen to something they haven't heard. And I think, at least in my experience, there are very few occasions where people go away saying, I'm never coming to one of these again.
Yeah. The need for connection is so strong in humans that this provides an amazing venue to have an intimate connection with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's so rare, actually, that this is an amazing place. It's why we live here.
Right. No, exactly. And these concerts, Minister's Island, you know, outdoors but under a tent. So we're protected from, you know, the worst weather, and intimate. Yeah, I mean, we may have, you know, 100, 200, 250 people at a show, but it still feels, you know, living roomish. I mean, the performers are right there. You know, they're not in tour buses.
The huge difference to me is seeing somebody like alive, as opposed to listening to a record or hearing it on the radio.
Right.
It just makes a huge difference because there's no second chances.
No,
you know?
No, that's true. Yeah. No, and the artists themselves, you know, they come to St. Andrews. It's a special place, and they see that, they get that right away. And then when, in the case of Minister's Island, you know, it's the whole mystique of driving across the ocean floor and getting to the island, and people are, you know, amazed at the fact that that's what you have to do, and then coming and setting up in this tent with a view to the bay and you know, some of the island. I mean, it's just you know, you're amidst, you know, history, and so the artists themselves you know, feel a unique connection and have a unique experience in this place.
You know, the island itself has a vibe.
Yeah.
And it goes way, way back. And I go over to the island actually quite a lot. And the vibe, I feel it every time I go over there. You'd know if you were on Minister's Island or you were somewhere else.
Yeah.
It just has that beat.
Yeah.
And to bring music to it is just, it's very exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on, I mean, so July 6th, Nico Paulo, and then a week later, on July 13th, we have Nadine Landry and Stephen Sammy Lind. Now, these two are based in Quebec. They live just over the bridge from Campbellton in Quebec. And Sammy is an American, I think born in Minnesota or somewhere in the Midwest. Nadine is from Quebec. Spent time in the Yukon. I met her years and years ago. She was part of a bluegrass band from the Yukon who came to St. Andrews to perform. But they, as a duo, are part of an internationally acclaimed string band called the Foghorn String Band, based in Oregon, U.S. And they travel all over the world playing. But Nadine and Sammy have their own thing going as a duo. It's bluegrass, old-time country music, Appalachian music, Cajun music. Sammy is he's a historian of that type of music, and it's his mission to try to preserve and present that music to the world. And both of them are incredible players, multi-instrumentalists. We had them here at Winter Warmer this past year, but this is their first time on Minister's Island. I often bring one act back after a Winter Warmer show, just because I feel that they need to be seen again. And these guys are the real deal. I mean, fiddle, guitar, banjo, the great, harmonies, and just a range of old-time music that you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's toe tapping, foot stomping, keep you smiling type of music, and these guys have the stories, the history of that music to go with it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard a banjo. I was at summer camp, years ago, and one of the other campers played a banjo, and he played it quite well. You never can get that out of you gravitate to it, and bluegrass banjo music is just it just gets into your bones.
Yeah. No, and these guys are top notch, and have played with Grammy Award winners. Incredible range of musicians, and as I said, tour internationally. So I mean, it's not their first show.
Right.
And so from July 13th to the end of the summer, every 2 weeks. So the next show on July 27th will be Teresa Malenfant and Scott Medford. Now, Teresa will be known to many. She's a very well-established New Brunswick blues singer. A little bit Janis Joplin. I mean, really powerful singer, and someone who's been around the block a few times, and very well loved, very well respected. She and Scott Medford, as a duo, were invited to participate in the International Blues Challenge a couple of years ago, which is held every year in Memphis.
Wow.
And hundreds of blues players from around the world come to compete in various formats, in a band, electric band format, solo format, blues, duo format. And these two didn't win, but they were first runner-up.
Wow.
Yes, they were second place in the International Blues Challenge in 2019. So, I mean, huge kudos to what they can do and how they are perceived in an international blues community. Again, Teresa and Scott, and actually Teresa and her full band have performed in St. Andrews before and always been well received. But no, she's a real treat and a real powerhouse. So again, really looking forward to having her back. She was here 3 summers ago. But good to have her back on the 27th of July. Moving forward, a real favorite throughout the country, and actually wherever he tours, will be Old Man Ludica. Chris Ludica will be appearing on Sunday, August 10th. He's no stranger to St. Andrews and no stranger to Minister's Island. He's been there a couple of times over the past 10 years. But he is a multiple Juno Award winner, a multiple Canadian Folk Music Award winner, a multiple ECMA Award. I mean, he is the real deal and one of the country's really top I would say one of the country's treasures, really, songwriting treasures. He has a way with words, a way to, punch you in the gut and, make you laugh your head off. He is witty beyond. He's a very accomplished banjo and guitar player, and he has really established himself amongst his peers as truly is one of the best. So it's always a real privilege to have him in town, and he never disappoints. I think he actually holds the record for the number of tickets sold at a Minister's Island concert.
Oh, great.
I think 4 or 5 years ago we had about 350 people come to see Chris Ludica, so I'm expecting a sellout for that show.
And Garrett Mason is the end of August.
Right, Sunday the 24th. Garrett is the type of guy that he could play, last week, and then next week we'd have him and he'd still fill the venue. Garrett is, one of a kind player. Son of Dutch Mason, who was one of Canada's premier blues performers, identified by B.B. King as the Dutch Mason was the Prime Minister of the blues. B.B. King was known as King of the Blues. Well, Dutchie was the Prime Minister of the blues, and Garrett, is cut from the same cloth. Right. And let's not forget that last show that we have Sunday, September 7th, as part of an event on the island too. They're having a Farm Fest event, I think, September 7th. And one of the island's favorites, the Hypochondriacs, will be back for that. Fredericton's rockin' country band.
This has been amazing. Tickets can be purchased online, or they can be purchased at the Minister's Island office down on Water Street.
We encourage them to be purchased ahead of time, but online for sure, the Minister's Island site, ministersisland.net.
Thank you, Jamie, for coming and giving us what we need to know to be ready for a great summer concert series. And thank you for joining us today for another episode of Fundy Tidings. And we'll see you next week for another one.